The allocation flow presents the breakdown of allocated funding, distinguishing whether it has been directly allocated or sub-granted. In other words, this infographic aims at tracking the funding flow between the CBPFs, the direct implementing partners, and the sub-implementing partners. So what's the difference between a direct implementing partner and a sub-implementing partner? Whether they are UN agencies, national and international NGOs, or Red Cross, Red Crescent Societies, direct implementing partners are the primary recipients of CBPF funding. They fill in, submit and report on the funded projects on the GMS. Under OCHA's approval and supervision, direct implementing partners can delegate activities to a third party. Consequently, the direct implementing partner can sub-grant a part of the received CBPF funding to this third party, called the sub-implementing partner. The sub-implementing partners are the secondary recipients of the CBPF funding. They do not receive funds from OCHA directly, but through the direct partners. Now, what are the different elements of this visual, and how does it capture this flow between the CBPF, the direct implementing partners and the sub-implementing partners? Firstly, the filter sections allow you to apply different variables to personalize the visuals. Secondly, the allocation's key figures provide the allocated amounts per partner level, whether direct or sub-implementing. Thirdly, and at the core of this infographic, the Alluvial Diagram presents the breakdown of the funding flow from the CBPF to the partners. Fourthly, the Sparklines section displays the allocation trends over the last 3 years, per partner type. To best use this tool, start by selecting one or several funds which data you wish to visualize. By default, all funds are selected. Then, you can select a year or several years with the timeline. The key figures at the top are automatically filtered with your selection, as well as the main visual. Finally, you can choose between the two following options which will only have an impact on the right-hand side column of the alluvial diagram. You can either sort the implementing partners per partner type by selecting Aggregate by partner type, which is the default option. Or you can click on Aggregate by partner level to group the implementing partners into two sections, identifying whether they are direct implementing partners or sub-implementing partners. Let's now focus on this core element, the alluvial diagram. The first column on the left-hand side represents the CBPF, ranked in order of the amount of funding allocated. The CBPF allocates the funding to direct implementing partners, on the basis of their approved projects. The direct implementing partners, represented in the middle column, are ranked by partner type, from the highest allocated amount to the lowest. Direct implementing partners keep most of the allocated funding for their activities implementation. The amount they keep is captured on the alluvial diagram by the blue flows between the middle and right-hand side columns. Direct partners can also sub-grant to sub-implementing partners. This is represented by the orange flows. The third column reflects this duality, as it shows both the direct and sub-implementing partners. Hence, it provides the most accurate data on CBPF funding's recipients. If we only take into account the direct implementing partners, which receive direct funding from the CBPF, we do not grasp the full picture of the funding situation. By focusing on both the direct and the sub-implementing partners, we can keep track and accurately map to which partner the net CBPF funding is allocated. Let's say we only focus on the direct implementing partners. We can then see, in our example, that international NGOs were the first recipients of CBPF funding in 2020. However, this would mean overlooking the subgranted amounts, and hence, the actual distribution of CBPF funding per partner type. This graph shows that multiple direct partners subgranted a substantial proportion of funding to national NGOs, making them, in fine, the first recipients of CBPF funding in 2020. The gray section represents the amount that was received as direct grants and kept to fund their own activities, while the orange section shows the subgrants received from direct partners. Now, what happens when we select the Aggregate by Partner Level option? By selecting this option, we can immediately see the proportion of sub-grants, in orange, and the proportion of direct funding that was not sub-granted, in gray. You can access additional information by hovering over the visuals elements. Here for instance, we can see that Syria cross-border CBPF allocated over $48 million to UN agencies. In turn, the UN agencies subgranted a portion of their funding to national NGOs and international NGOs, in orange, and kept the remaining funding to implement their own activities, in blue. Hover over the orange flows to see the exact subgranted amounts to national NGOs and to international NGOs. When you hover over the third column sections, here for instance, the national NGOs, you can see from which partner type the funding comes from, whether direct, in blue, and subgrants, in orange. You can also access a detailed ribbon, which provides the whole funding situation. The trends highlighted next to the sub-implementing partners types represent the funding trend over the last 3 years, whether increase or decrease. These allocation trends are also indicated more clearly, by partners type, in the section underneath. Finally, as usual with the Data Hub visualizations, you can find 5 technical features: Share, Play, Image, CSV and Help. Click on Share to copy a link redirecting to the visualization. You can then paste this link in social media or any communication channel of your choice. Click on Play to access an animation of the visualization throughout the years of the timeline. Click on Image to download the visualization, with the currently applied filters, as either a PDF or a PNG. Click on CSV to download the visualization's raw data as an Excel file. Finally, click on Help to access short guidance on each of the visual component.